All right, this is really cool. I like it.
3, 2, 1.
Good day everyone, Garage King here, and today we are going to review the Haudio S10C car stereo. It is a 1-DIN. Now for those of you that don't know, 1-DIN is a smaller style radio, usually about 2 by 7 inches. It came in older cars and you're probably going to want to update that radio. Take a look at this one right here. And you have that cool older car, but yet you want the navigation in it. And instead, this is what you have. Well, you don't have to live with it. Here is a shot of my car, and if you're looking for a deal, well, let me just say those were on sale. So one of the most important things is adjustments, and this one has a lot of adjustments. Let's quickly go through the box. You get cables for an external amp if you want to have that crazy sound system. But for most installs, all you're going to need is the main connector, one wiring harness. It's going to be that easy, as you will see. Anyway, let's keep on. Here's your camera and brake connection that plugs into the back. And here's the actual camera and its wiring should you decide to install the camera. Next up, we have the GPS antenna. You're definitely going to want that with the navigation system. There is a wired USB, so if you want to connect via USB, and you even have another USB if you want to do that. And it does come with some tools, which are very important to take it apart or remove it should you ever need to remove it in the future. It does come with a manual. There's not a whole lot in the manual, but the main page did show the wiring diagram, and really that's all you need. So this is what the unit looks like. Those two front buttons are to release the screen should you want to release it. This is what the back looks like. Everything is very easy to plug in. It feels fairly heavy and definitely well made. So let's take a look at the screen. Here's a shot of the connector, but more importantly, what I found was this ball joint right here. It was super solid and definitely not going to let that screen wobble around when you are driving. Here you can see I'm trying to twist it, and trust me, this is not going to get loose when you're driving, so I was really impressed with that. The other thing is you can slide it up and down so you have a lot of movement, and I think that's very important with a lot of these different vehicles. It's about 11 inches in total diameter. Here are the touch buttons on the side. You can see it's got a built-in mic. There's your home button, your back button, and your volume up and down, so pretty easy. Now I bought a harness so I don't have to cut my factory wiring connections off, but you definitely don't need it. You can tie right into your factory wiring harness if you want to. You can see everything is very clearly labeled, and that makes installation in any vehicle really easy. And yeah, let's throw up another picture on my van. Gotta love it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to solder the two wiring harnesses together, and then all I have to do is plug it into my van's connection. Now, one of the problems with these old VWs is the ignition switch doesn't turn the stereo on and off. It is always on. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to install a manual switch just to make my life a little bit easier, and that's important for me. Now, in your car, you probably don't have to do this. This is probably just a Volkswagen thing. Who knows? But you can see the hodgepodge of wires there, and I'm actually putting a second switch in, and if you're wondering what that's for, that's just for some gauges I'm going to do later, but I figured I may as well run all the wiring right now just to make it easy, and then this way I don't have to pull everything out. Now let's take a look at the wiring harness. As you can see, it is all prepped up so nicely. The connectors I used are heat shrink connectors that have a little bit of solder in them, so this way I'm going to get really good connections. And then all I should have to do, if everything works out well for me, is like I said, plug it into the factory wiring socket, and that's it. I'm not going to use these wires right here except for these two together, and that has to go to my on-off switch like I mentioned before, because when VW built these vans, unfortunately they didn't wire them to turn on and off with the key. So I'm doing it myself now, bringing my van into the 21st century. Now let's look at the back. You can see there's our antenna, there's our GPS, and there is our main harness. And really, those are the only connections I really have to use. Now we have to take off the front trim plate. I can use the tool for that. And now I will use the supplied tools to slide the unit out of this sleeve. That is very important because we're going to have to go over to the vehicle and install the sleeve in the vehicle first. And here we go. We are over at the vehicle. I'm sliding the sleeve in, as you can see. Want to make sure that nothing's in the way. Now to lock it down and keep it tight, there's these little tabs. You can use a screwdriver, and you're just going to push some of these tabs in, and that just keeps it locked in there. And this is standard for these style of radios. So now what I'm going to do, you can see I'm pulling out the factory wiring harness. I didn't have to cut it. And the reason for that is I bought another harness that marries up to the factory wiring because I just didn't want to cut my factory wiring. But you can do it. It's really not a big deal. I just didn't want to do it on my van. So you can see there, it plugs in. Nice and simple, just like so. Now we have to connect the main power wire from my switch. And here it is right here, the one that you saw me wiring up earlier. So let's take a check at our wires. Let's take another look. Okay, so here's all we really are gonna have to plug in. You can see there's the antenna. There is the main harness hanging out. And right here, you saw me pull this piece through. That is the GPS. So just like I showed you earlier, I only need 3 things to plug in. My GPS right here, you can see I just poked it through, the main harness and the antenna. So there's the antenna, just like so. I can plug it in. Next, we are going to screw the GPS on, just like so. And then all we have left after we screw the GPS on is just to plug in the main harness. And you know what, everyone? I have to say, this almost just seems too easy. Please let me know in the comments what type of stereos you prefer. I'm a guy that really likes old school audio as well, so I understand all of that old school audio stuff. And yes, if you're paying attention and you see what I just grabbed there, that was the antenna, and I actually found it a little bit easier to disconnect the antenna and then just connect it later. But as you can see, there's lots of room. So let's get this bottom trim panel all lined up, pushed in, and then we're going to make sure we turn our power off. Because I'm not looking for power right now, we'll push our stereo in. You heard it click there. Now we'll put our trim piece on, just like so. And you know what? It's pretty much installed. That's it. So let's snap the screen on and show you guys a little bit of a demo here. Let's see what this thing can do. And you know what? I love how you can rotate the screen. That is so cool. So depending on the style of your car, you can rotate it however you think it would work best. So let's turn it on and see how it works. So far, so good. And you know what? If you have any comments, please leave them down below. I do check all my comments. So let's flip the orientation of the screen. It should flip, and there you have it. Now, I'll go through a quick little demo here, and I must say one of the things I absolutely loved about this so much was it has an easy-to-use radio. You don't understand, sometimes it's like really hard to get radio stations. And anyway, I just found it really, really easy to use. There's our browser. Orientation now is back vertical, so I have no buttons covered. That works really good. I can scroll over, use all of my apps right here. And then, you know what? Let's go a little bit deeper. So here's how it looks for CarPlay. Very, very easy to use. Here are the CarPlay apps. Yours are going to vary depending on how your phone is set up. Let's do an equalizer demo. You have total control over your music. Now, I can't play the music in the actual video because I'm going to get copyrighted, and I definitely don't want that to happen. But what I can let you know is you have total control of the music, and the amplifier is fairly powerful. This is how it looks horizontal. So just depending how you have it, you have total control over your music. Now, to make things easier, there is a number of presets that it comes with. So you can see here, we'll go over here to the ASP screen, and there is our equalizer once again, and there's the preset. So pop, you know, classic, rock, you get the idea. And then the other thing is you have total balance control. So I do have 4 speakers in my vehicle, so I can go left, right, front, rear, it doesn't matter. And if I'm not happy with the buttons here, I can actually use this screen and do micro adjustments so I can get my speakers exactly how I want them. Now, it does have some surround sound, which is pretty cool, and it does have a subwoofer control. If we go back here, I wanted just to show you Google here. So it does, you can stream right from your phone, but just keep in mind, you got to have a good data plan. And let's see if we can find my channel. There's me, Garage King. There's my YouTube channel. And you can get Netflix as well, which is kind of cool. So it's got a whole bunch of apps, but just keep in mind if you're streaming, you got to have your Wi-Fi on, and you got to do that from your phone. If you're just using CarPlay, then you can do that all through Bluetooth, but very easy to set up. What did I think of this? I absolutely love it, and I am so happy I got it. It is going to make my life in my van much easier and much more enjoyable when I am driving around. Now, the other thing I should mention is it did come with some internal storage that did have some music on it and also some high definition videos. Now, I'm not going to be driving around watching a lobster or this type of video, but it does showcase just the high definition of the unit. So if you're at a car show or something like that, you can definitely show it off that way. Anyway, that is it for the video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or comments or concerns, please leave them below. I am Garage King. That is it for now, and I hope to see you on the next one. Thank you, everyone.